Happy Saturday to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mr. Sitter, the podcast, the show, the event, the institution, the life credos, everything that you need in your World Cup follow along. I have been complaining about tiredness every single day to emphasize the degree to which I am actually watching every single fucking match of this World Cup, but I got to admit, I've only really been a little bit tired every day. Today, I'm fucked. This has been 6 days that I've been doing this shit. I timed my caffeine intake last night very, very poorly, and I'm absolutely buggered. So thankfully for you guys, this isn't going to be a long episode at all. I'm just going to run through the shit that happened, and then I'll send you on your merry way. Let's go to the first match, which was beautiful. Iran, Wales, sleeper hit, one of the best matches of the tournament so far. And I told you motherfuckers not to sleep on Iran. The result against England was a red herring. They came in shell-shocked. The cultural situation, the cultural revolution that's happening in that country, not to mention losing their keeper super early, it shell-shocked them and they capitulated. Not to mention the fact that they were missing Serdar Azmoun, who we'll talk about in a second, because wow. But there's power behind this team, guys. I believed in them to go through this group from the beginning, and I feel it's stronger than ever now. There's a proper cultural revolution happening in Iran. There's power. There's electricity behind these people. There's energy, and you saw that energy from the start. The national anthem played. The players didn't sing again. The Iran fans booed the national anthem. A woman was in the crowd, and she held up a jersey that had the name Mahsa Amini, who was the woman that was killed in custody, who was arrested for incorrect use of the hijab, which started this whole cultural revolution. And it was powerful. It was so powerful. She had makeup of like tears. It looked really powerful, and that power translated to the players. It was a 2-1 win for Iran. Truthfully, they were absolutely all over them the whole game. They had a ruled out goal for a very marginal offside. They hit the post twice within seconds of each other. They had multiple chances go begging, but they just couldn't break Wales down until late in the game when Wayne Hennessy, the Welsh goalkeeper, came out and the ball was coming towards his box. He ran out of the box. He went to try and clear it. He totally kicked it. He missed it. He airballed it, and his foot was so high that he almost took out the Iranian player. Sent off, even though the ref initially only gave him a yellow. And then Wales were down to 10 men. Wayne Hennessy, interestingly, I always remember him as being the goalkeeper with the highest overall potential in FIFA 09. So thanks, Wayne Hennessy. Thanks for coming. They took off Aaron Ramsey, and they put on Danny Ward, who I didn't realize was Welsh, and who was a much better keeper than Wayne Hennessy. And I don't know why he wasn't playing from the start. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Once they went down to 10 men, it was all Iran, and you just knew, you hoped that Iran were going to score the winner they desperately deserved. And then in the 95th minute, Chesney scores goal of the tournament thus far. For me, hands down, so dramatic. Great winner, curler from outside of the box. The first goal in this tournament from outside of the box. And then in the 98th minutes, Rezalan just sealed the deal, sealed the deal. 3 points for Iran, and hasn't actually knocked out Wales, but effectively Wales are out. Wales have to actually beat England and hope that other results go their way in order to get through, and I'm really happy about that because I fucking hate this Wales team. They're boring, they're uninspiring, they rely on old, washed-up players, and they're just plucky and just hang on, and had they got a point out of this game, I would have been furious, so I'm happy that Wales are gone, and this game gave me so much hope for this World Cup. I know I ranted in the last episode about how it hadn't been a good World Cup yet, and obviously one good point to make in retaliation to that, even though it hasn't been the case in previous World Cups, but being that it was round one, Teams are playing a lot more conservatively. The stakes are a lot lower, and nobody wanted to lose their opening game, which led to some more boring matches. Now that it's match day 2, you kind of you're expecting to see the stakes be heightened, and so the games will be better, which was the case in all but one of the matches that we saw this morning. But yeah, it gave me hope. We finally saw a wonder goal. We finally saw intense World Cup drama. We finally saw a actual breakout performance. We have had players that we know are good, players that we know are world class doing well, but finally we had that wonderful World Cup trope where a player that not everybody knows steps up and says, "You people are going to remember my name after this." And that's Serdar Azmoun. He plays for Bayer Leverkusen. I know who he is because he was linked with Juve before he moved to Bayer Leverkusen. He was at Zenit St. Petersburg and he was linked to Juve, so I checked him out. He was excellent. Injured in the first game, has been injured the last few months, and even sort of got a little bit injured in this game, but fought on, and he was crucial in Iran winning. So yeah, don't sleep on Iran. We're gonna have to see how the last match day pans out. The next game was Qatar versus Senegal. The sad tale of Qatar's athletic performance in their hosting of this World Cup comes to a foregone conclusion. They're out. They're the first team eliminated. They're the first team ever to host the World Cup to be eliminated on match day 2. Mired in absolute disgrace, and you know what? I'm pretty happy about it. Not for the players. You never wish ill on any players that don't play for Inter Milan. But you understand, Qatar turned up to the 2006 World Cup qualifiers with like a squad of 24 South Americans, and we're like, this is the team. This is us. We're Qatar. And FIFA were like, no, you're not allowed to do that. Like, what the fuck is this? You have to have, your players have to be from your country. That's what international football means, Qatar. And the Qataris are like, oh, okay, we'll figure a way around this. And they have been trying to buy their way to the upper pantheon of the greatest sport in the history of mankind ever since, and they almost did it. This Aspire Academy that they've put in, this coach that used to be at La Masia, all these players that they've nationalized. You just feared that Qatar were going to be good, but thankfully they were dog shit, and yeah, they're out. It's done. Senegal have put us all out of our misery, including Qatar. The game ended 3-1, which sounds like it would have been an exciting game, but it wasn't. It was boring. Senegal was so dominant. Qatar was so average, and you knew that it was going to be a conclusive victory for Senegal. Qatar changed their goalkeeper from the first game. It was a new guy, and I think that's a great idea because that first goalkeeper was absolutely abysmal in the first game. This next guy was fine. Didn't have anywhere near a good a game as Edouard Mendy in goals for Senegal, but we'll get to him in a sec. The defending on the first goal that Qatar scored, the ball came in to the box via a cross, and the centre-back just kind of slipped over himself. Like, he air swung it, he got tangled in his feet, he fell over, and the ball just dropped for the Senegalese attacker, who just went in and scored. What a lot of you may not know is that this year, 2022, is my retirement year for football. It's the first year that I can recall in my life where I haven't played, and which is crazy because I retired before my dad. My dad's 58, he's still playing. I'm 30, I'm out. But prior to that, I was playing in all-age Division D in the St. George region for Rockdale Raiders. And even at my level, the mistake that this Qatari defender made is absolutely unacceptable. To make it in a World Cup is just abhorrent, disgusting, and emblematic of the degree to which these guys just didn't belong there. And from there, Senegal just ran away with it. Mendy made a couple of great saves because Qatar did battle, to their credit. They battled a lot harder than they battled against Ecuador. And Mendy was forced into a couple of great saves. And when Qatar actually did score, Mendy hung onto the ball because it was 2-1 at this point. Mendy hung onto the ball, and the Qataris were trying to get it off him. And in my head, I'm like, why are you being a dickhead, bro? Just give them the ball back. Like, it's fine. Like, it's no problem. They just scored a consolation goal. Like, I experienced such cognitive dissonance, the degree to which I knew that Qatar were not going to score again. I'm like, yeah, it's 2-1, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's still a consolation. Which is kind of funny. But yeah, like obviously the right thing to do at 2-1. So yeah, Mendy had a good game. He's been pretty bad this season, so good for him and good for Senegal. And goodbye Qatar. We hardly knew ye. The next match was the match that I was most looking forward to in this little cluster. One of the most anticipated on my part matches of the entire round. And it lived up to the billing. That's the Netherlands versus Ecuador. And we have now learnt that Ecuador are good, capital G. Beating Qatar was one thing. To draw with the Netherlands is an entirely different thing, and they're good, and I'm happy. And my prediction that they would make it through the group before the World Cup started is looking good. It's looking real good. I heard something wildly impressive. Louis van Gaal has been 3 times in charge of the Netherlands national team. 3 different spells. He's lost 4 games. That's nuts, man. I think Louis van Gaal deserves a spot in maybe the top 10, 15 managers of all time. That's amazing. His Netherlands team are really good. They play good football. They got good players. They took the lead through an excellent goal by Cody Gakpo after 5 minutes, the fastest goal at this World Cup thus far. Gakpo is another one of those guys. I mean, all of the goals scored by the Netherlands so far are scored by him. The amount of goal involvements that he's had for club and country in the last year is like astonishing. I don't have the stats, sorry, but it's something. It's like a goal or an assist per game for the last year. He is like Asmun, but next level. He's like, hey, in case you guys like don't have your Instagram and TikTok algorithm set up so that you're hearing about the best players in the Eredivisie, even if you're not even like remotely interested in the league. Just so you guys know, I'm going to be a very big deal in football in the years to come. He fucking is. Linked with Manchester United. I wouldn't be surprised if on the strength of this World Cup performance, if he goes to Real Madrid, because you know how they love to just go, oh, who was the best player at the World Cup? We'll take him. But Ecuador equalized. Ecuador played really well. After that, they didn't capitulate. They didn't just fall over. They equalized through Superman, Enner Valencia, Mr. Ecuador, 6th goal in 5 World Cup games. It was a nice goal, and yeah, they could have won this. I mean, Plata hit the crossbar with a beautiful curling shot from just inside the box. Plata looks like the real deal. He plays in Spain. He's a young winger. He looks like the real deal. And I look, had Ecuador won, I would have been thrilled. But I think the draw on the balance of the match was the right result. And now you can basically assume that the Netherlands are through because they're going to whip Qatar. And Senegal, Ecuador required watching. It will be one of the most hotly anticipated matches of the final match day of the group stage. It's a shame that one of these 2 teams has to go out. I personally hope it's Senegal because I don't think they've played anywhere near to their potential. And without Sadio Mane, they've just been a little bit profligate, even though they scored 3 goals against Qatar. And Ecuador is so worth it. Ecuador is so worth it to go through to the next round. And a draw will do them. A draw against Senegal will do them through the next round. I think they're going to do it. So looking forward to that. And they will play if they come second, they will play the winner of the other group, which we assume is going to be England. But I mean, fuck. After this last game, maybe it won't be. The last game was USA England, another 0-0. There was anticipation going into this match, I guess, due to the kind of the history of the nations, not just in a footballing sense, but in a war of independence. We used to be a colony. We took over your mantle as the global superpower sense. The USA want respect as a footballing country, and they feel like England don't give it to them. At least that's what the players said. So we're looking forward to this game. and it was fucking terrible. It was honestly one of the worst games of this entire World Cup. At about 88 minutes, my SBS feed just dropped out. Like I couldn't get the feed, couldn't get it on my phone, couldn't get it on my laptop. I don't know if this happened to any of you guys. It was just like my internet or something. But I was genuinely relieved. I was straight up like, oh, I don't have to watch this anymore. Great, I'll get to work. Yeah. I was going for England leading into it. I was actually hoping that England would whip them because I find people from the UK considerably more palatable than Americans. This is not a secret. Sorry. And I thought for Iran, who I'm plugging for hard, not just because I made the prediction before the tournament, but because they are such a likable team. And after their win against Wales, I'm really pumping for them. And England beating America would effectively make Iran in the driving seat to qualify for the next round. They still are, but I was going for England. But listening to the national anthems made me change my mind for just a little bit, because God Save the Queen has to be the most posh, pompous, stuck up, just like crumpets British bullshit. No, God Save the Queen. And then you've got the Star Spangled Banner, which, as much as I hate what it represents, as much as I dislike the ethos and the origins of the song, it's a fucking G up, man. So I'm like, you know what? Freedom! Let's go the USA for a whole, 5 minutes, and then I was watching the game, and I'm like, you know what? I hope both of these teams get knocked out of the tournament. Greg Berhalter needs to go as American coach, because they've seriously got enough talent to be doing better than they are. For his part, Greg Berhalter, like the way the t-shirt that he wears is like weird grey sweat t-shirt. It's like a loose fit, and he's always got this bewildered look on his face. He looks like a dad that went for a weekend morning run and came home and fell asleep on the couch and then was abruptly woken up because his kids have friends over, and he's like, "Whoa, who's in my house? What? Huh?" And he coaches as such. That's how he coaches. That's it. That's what he looks like, and that's his coaching style. Both teams showed each other way too much respect, which is a nice way of putting it. The realistic way of putting it is both teams played like pussies. England totally happy to take the draw. They don't give a shit. They're on 4 points now. They're in the driver's seat. They got to play against Wales. Wales are shocking, so they're probably going to be fine. The USA need to actually defeat Iran. A draw will send Iran through because Iran are on 3 points and the USA are on 2. But I hope Iran mow them. I hope Iran pulverize them because they deserve it, and USA don't deserve it. Man, can I just rant for a moment about Weston McKennie? I've had such a love-hate relationship with this player since he arrived at Juve. I didn't know who the fuck he was until the morning that I saw the news that he had signed for us. Turns out he's this big deal in America, and for how much he's being paid for the transfer fee, he's been decent value. He's come up with really good moments in his Juve career. He scored this amazing volley against Barcelona. He scored some really crucial headers, and his stats are always pretty good. And in this game, they were really good too. He had the most touches out of anybody. He had the most possessions won. He had the most final third passes. He has his own weird brand of charisma. Like, he does this really kind of trite Harry Potter wand celebration when he scores. And he did this thing in this game where, like, he needed to wipe his hands to take a long throw in. So he wiped his hands on the bib of the photographer. He's got his own weird brand of charisma. But he sucks. He sucks. He's not a decisive player. He's way overhyped. The only thing that he can do well is make runs into the box late and score headers. Everything else he does bang average, and because he is American and teams are, especially in Europe, teams in Europe are more inclined to sign American players because they want to sell jerseys and visibility to an American market. It makes sense for business purposes. He's a hot prospect, and I hope Juve can flog him for like 35, 40 million to a Premier League team, and he can be their problem now because he sucks. And the USA suck, and I hope that they don't make it through this group because Iran are better, and Hala Iran, as they say. in the old country. Real quick before we go, Neymar is out. He'll be out for the group stage, but Brazil are going to make it through the group stage, no problem. They have plenty of replacements for him, and hopefully he's fit for the remainder of the tournament because he's important for them. Speaking of being important for them, Richarlison, after the Serbia game, went from 7.5 to 11.3 million followers on Instagram. That's absurd. Everybody's sleeping on him. And I think with the likes of Breel and Bolo and Choupo-Moting will be hoping to score against Serbia as well, so they can get a 4 million person boost in their social media. And tonight we got 4 games, all of which are sort of interesting to me, but not really. We start with the primetime blockbuster, Australia-Tunisia. Tunisia going to mow us. Poland versus Saudi Arabia. I'm actually pumping for Saudi Arabia. I think most of the world is after their exploits against Argentina. I think Saudi Arabia could get a draw here. France versus Denmark. France are going to take care of Denmark, no problem. Denmark are drastically overrated, as we've spoken about. And Mexico-Argentina. You'd back Argentina to get a result here. They're going to win. They've got to get their campaign back on track. And that's probably the game that I'm looking forward to the most. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.